Dishing with Deb. I'm Deb Fabricant, and today I'm going to show you how to save the life of your roses. Have you ever gone to a flower shop or the flower mart and bought a beautiful bunch of very expensive roses only to have the rose itself just droop over a couple of days later and you wonder why that's happened? Well, I'm going to tell you why. First of all, never cut a rose with a pair of scissors because that pinches the end and keeps the rose from getting the water all the way up to the head of the rose. What happens is air bubbles are inside the stem, and when you pinch the end with a pair of scissors, the water doesn't go through the air bubbles, hence the top flops over because it isn't getting air. So the first thing that you want to do when you bring your roses home is take a little contraption like this, which is called a rose stripper, and you're going to take your rose, hold it firmly but not too tightly at the top, and if you want to take some of the leaves off, just put the rose stripper right along either side of the stem and pull down like that, and that takes the leaves off the rose. I usually like to keep a few at the top because when you put them in a vase it looks pretty and green. But you don't need them all the way down, plus the fact that when you have leaves sitting in the water, it has a tendency to get the water kind of slimy. The next thing you need is a very inexpensive paring knife. I use these little plastic ones with a flat blade. And each stem of the rose should have the paring knife at an angle, like so. Hold the rose firmly and pull down at an angle, like that, so you have a cut that's on the angle. Then, after you've done all that, and I'm going to do a couple more for you just so you can see how to do it, you take this knife, like that, and cut it on an angle like that. You may have to wiggle it back a little bit, back and forth a little bit, but make sure it is on an angle and not straight. After you've done that, you're going to take all of your prepared roses in a tight bunch like this with the ends, oh, I missed one here, let me get that. Oh, by the way, while I'm doing that, the other thing that the rose stripper does is that it strips off the thorns so you aren't getting a lot of thorns. Okay, so now you want to take a whole bunch of these roses like that, very, very tightly, and you're going to have a pan of water that is just barely boiling, simmering, and I know it sounds crazy to put stem ends in boiling water, but trust me, this works. And what happens is the hot water hits the cut on the roses, and as it travels up, it breaks up all those little air bubbles that are inside, and then you put it in cold water and the roses bloom and last much, much longer. So what you're going to do is just place with the head of the roses away from you, you're going to place these stems in, and can you see how those little bubbles are bubbling up? That's all the air bubbles inside the roses that are breaking up, and water and air are getting up through those little tiny air bubbles. You leave them in for about 10 seconds, take them out, put them in a vase full of cold water, and you have beautiful roses that last for a long time. Now, to finish off your bouquet and get the roses arranged, you're going to take a large vase, fill it full of water, and another tip today is if you take a little bit of vodka, just a tiny bit, and add it to the water, that keeps the stems from getting slimy and it keeps the water from turning green and yellow. You can also use a little bit of bleach, but I'd use the vodka. Okay. And then you're going to put your roses inside, and I like really loose, beautiful, natural centerpieces. Not too contrived, something that's going to be really pretty and spring-like. think that probably is really nice. And if you want to add a little bit of green, you can add a few little lemon leaves. If you want to, you could add ferns. You could add, another color if you wanted to. I think the yellow and white are kind of appropriate for spring and Easter, Passover. I think that's about it. We have a really beautiful bouquet and roses that are going to last for at least a week. This is Dishing with Deb. Take care.